Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on KREM 2 News at 4:30. I'm Whitney Ward. We start this half hour with a KREM 2 investigation. Washington State is home to wolves, cougars, and bears, and over the last decade, they have killed hundreds of livestock here in eastern Washington. I dug into the numbers and spoke with one woman who feels her entire livelihood is under attack, not just by the animals, but also by state leaders who she says aren't fixing the problem.
I did not bring any apples. We didn't.
Kathy McKay is the lifelong owner of K Diamond K Guest Ranch in Republic. Built by her parents, she has spent her life continuing the family legacy and passing it on to others.
We feed 2 tons of hay a day.
But as she showed me around her 1,700-acre property, she says the growing wolf population right in her own backyard makes her wonder about the future.
We're the ones going extinct.
Kathy tells me she has known wolf packs on all sides.
This is where they're killing the most. We have our cattle currently just down in that field.
How many packs are up here? Do you know?
I know of about 5 packs that are within 25 miles of us.
That hasn't always been the case. She says it's only been in the last 5 to 7 years that the wolves have truly emerged as her #1 threat. Kathy tells me she's lost more than 100 animals here at the ranch over the last decade. At first, it was maybe 1 or 2 each year, but this year alone, it's already been 20. She says the problem clearly is not getting better, it's getting worse. But wolves are not the only predator out there. This map from Washington's Department of Fish and Wildlife shows reported sightings of the state's wolves, cougars, and even grizzly bears. Cougar sightings are the most frequent statewide. It's estimated there are about 2,500 adult cougars in the state, and there are thousands of reports every year and occasionally attacks on people, like this one near Snoqualmie Pass earlier this year, or this one in Stevens County in 2022 that seriously injured a little girl.
How scary it must have been for them.
WDFW data shows 247 depredation incidents involving cougars, killing or injuring mostly smaller animals like goats and sheep. 1 in 3 attacks happening in these 4 counties. Grizzlies are reported far less often, but they are in Washington. This same map shows a handful of sightings just this year. And while they are a protected species in Washington, they are managed at the federal level by U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and their numbers in Washington are minimal. Only a few dozen that roam between the U.S.-Canada border in the Selkirk Mountains and a handful in the North Cascades. But the plan to bring grizzlies back also worries a lot of people here in eastern Washington, saying they will only add to the wolf problem. This grizzly was spotted on camera numerous times in Stevens County, killing one family's chickens.
Grizzly bears, they just don't stop. Once they find something that they want, you don't just chase them off.
But wolves are what's spotted most regularly in Ferry, Stevens, and Pend Oreille counties, and I have covered their continued conflict with ranchers here for almost 10 years. More than half of the state's 42 documented packs are in this small remote corner of the state, at least 260 total wolves and 36 known attacks on cattle. But law enforcement here says those official numbers are just a fraction of reality.
Some of the ranchers here aren't reporting anymore because contacting us, contacting the Department of Fish and Wildlife, they have given up on us coming up with solutions.
Ray Maycumber has been the sheriff of Ferry County for the last decade. He is now one of 16 Eastern Washington sheriffs who have formed a coalition providing testimony to the Fish and Wildlife Commission about serious concerns for public safety.
You've got bus stops out in the rural areas that overlap with known wolf territory. They're being seen all over the place, even in backyards.
He says ranchers and property owners like Kathy have lost faith in the state's ability or willingness to manage Washington's wolves in a way that works for everyone.
We keep following a plan that isn't working.
What would your message be to incoming state leaders?
Be sure to listen to everyone.
I took those concerns to the Department of Fish and Wildlife to ask what would it take to change how Washington manages its wolves.
What does it tell you as a department that so many people don't want to report, that so many people don't feel that it makes a difference?
It is a little discouraging because we also rely on that data to know what's going on out there. Our numbers differ a lot then from what we're hearing.
What about the idea of relocating some of them out of that northeast corner into kind of the southwest where they're not yet, fully established, just to balance things out and kind of ease the burden?
The Research on translocation shows that generally animals don't survive or they just return where they came from. So what we could do, revisit the gray wolf conservation and management plan. We could open that up and rediscuss it. But again, that's something that would have to come at the direction of either the Fish and Wildlife Commission or a request from the Wolf Advisory Group.
She says so far that hasn't happened, so until then, both sides will have to make some sacrifice. Back here at K Diamond K, Kathy says the sacrifice has been one-sided.
There's people 300 miles away making decisions for our livelihood. I feel like we're preaching on deaf ears.
She worries even if there is a change, it may be too little and too late.
We as humans, I feel, have been put here to manage the land. Our whole life, we helped animals, and they can't speak, they can't talk, so they are all relying on me to protect them.
Right now, the Washington Wolf Advisory Group is considering changes to its compensation process for ranchers who do report their losses. Some have also asked to open a limited wolf hunt in Northeast Washington, but that won't happen at all, I'm told, until wolves are downlisted at the state level, and the last request for that was rejected. Now, I did reach out to Governor-elect Bob Ferguson, but when I asked his office if he would be willing to consider changes to the wolf management plan, they didn't respond. And one final note, I shot that interview with Kathy about a week and a half ago, and since then she tells me she has lost another cow to wolves.